From the worst in Japanese animation in all of God's beautiful creation comes the best of all the princes, because Yamaguchi never misses. There is a very well-liked hawk. It is highly sought. Massive cocks, my favorite furry feathered friend here. It's just so awesome. While My Hero Academia is not a show I'm particularly proud of liking,
Hey, Darky!
honestly, it's actually kind of good. If we just scrape away, you know, that side of the internet. And Hawks here has to be my favorite character from the show. You know, not too edgy, not too childish, but just kind of in the middle. Which is why I was super excited to get a figure of him. Today, we're taking a look at the amazing Yamaguchi My Hero Academia Hawks figure, and it's an interesting case today, so let's talk about it. Hawks here is a great representation of the character we see in the anime and the manga pretty well, up until, well, he gets, a little burn. But while his scar he gets in chapter 267 is missing, along with, you know, his shorter hair, nonetheless, when it was released, this figure was a good representation of the character we see in the anime, and honestly, adding a scar shouldn't be too difficult.
Doodlescript, please customize my figure, please.
But besides that, everything is here. His iconic jacket, Tron-inspired undershirt, his belt with bags and lots of pockets, his headphones and flight visor, all the way down to his boots and his itty-bitty wing. As he stands out of the box, he does look a bit plain, but I really don't know what Yamaguchi could do differently here. As for figure feel, he does feel a bit clunky when messing with him, and the feeling falls a little flat because of some hard plastic elements like his jacket and shoulders, making him have a learning curve when posing around, but it's manageable with time. My only actual major complaint here is that these bags fall off a little too often, and it's a pretty huge pain in the ass. I know in terms of scaling, here he's a bit weird with other figures from the Revoltech My Hero Academia line, but I don't have any of those guys, so I don't really have an issue with it. And really, most of my complaints just go away when you factor in the wings. To plug them in, all you have to do is remove the little wings and then plug in the larger ones into the joints in the back. And these wings are gorgeous. While yes, they are made of a hard plastic that I don't particularly like, these are definitely what make the figure, and well, the character for that matter, so appealing to look at. But enough about his handsome face, let's talk about his accessories, because he comes with too many. As for faces, he comes with a smiling face, a smirking face, and a neutral kind of mad face, so yeah, the selection here wasn't the best. I feel like an angry face, for example, would have been perfect here, but I will say that the eyes included do make up for it, since you get a lot. He comes with 3 forward-facing eyes, and 1 set of eyes that look top right, down to the bottom left, and top left. And if you want to swap out the eyes, all you have to do is take out the eyes using a screwdriver or some small object, pry it out, and then attach the new eyes that you want on. And if you did that properly, you will have successfully swapped the eyes out. As for face swaps, it's pretty much the same as every other import figure. You just take off the hair, take off the faceplate, put on a new faceplate, and then put on the hair again. Moving on to his hands, he comes with 2 fists, 2 grabby hands, 2 open palm hands, 2 thumbs up hands, 2 pointing hands, 2 flat hands, and finally 2 specialty hands, which are meant to hold Hawks' coffee and Hawks' visor. Both of them plug simply into the hands like so, and these 2 accessories are really cool in my opinion, especially Hawks' visor. And the last set of hands are these 2 pocket hands, which are pretty cool, but it's kind of hard to get them into his pockets, so I personally haven't used them very much, but they are a pretty cool inclusion regardless. Now let's talk about arguably his coolest accessories, those being his feather swords, and these 2 are amazing. And these are the accessories I find myself using the most, because, well, other than that, he doesn't really have any other weapons. I will admit, I don't like the plastic they're made out of, because they kind of feel flimsy and they feel like they're gonna break at any moment. However, after the initial scare, I still think that this holds up as his best accessory besides the wings. Moving on to even more accessories, let's talk about these wing effects. My copy of the figure didn't come with defective effect parts, so I actually really like these a lot, but I've heard on some copies of the figures the effects don't really plug in super well into the wings, and while they are super fragile and not my personal cup of tea when it comes to displaying Hawks, my take on it is they are some really cool effects, and while it's something completely unnecessary to the figure, it adds so much more value, and I think Yamaguchi should really be praised for it. And as our penultimate accessory, we get a piece of plastic. I'm gonna keep it a buck with y'all. I don't fucking care about this thing. I get what Yamaguchi was going for. They were trying to go with the same like comic book thing as Deku Smash, Bakugo's Boom, or Todoroki's Foosh. But in this case, it's just nowhere near as versatile. And with all the accessories out of the way, it's time to get into the articulation. Ball joint at the head, ball joint at the neck, ball joint at the chest, ball joint at the waist. Arm can go up about this far before it's stopped by the shoulder cuff. Rotation at the arm. A good thing to mention here is that this piece comes off a little too often and it's annoying, but it really showcases that there's a double ball joint system here working in the arm. The kind of pathetic bend at the arm. Arm can go side to side and also up and down. Now that we're talking about articulation, I might as well mention that I took out a little piece of his hair back here that's supposed to be here. I don't know if it actually helps out with the articulation, but I mean, the hole never really shows up anyway, so I've just kind of kept it out. His head can look up this far and look down this far. His coat pieces are on hinge joints, and so are his wings in the back. Hawks can crunch forward this far and go back this far. Legs can kick up this far and can kick back this far. Really cool seamless bend at the knee, a rotation at the ankle, a really good ankle pivot, an up and down at the foot, and a toe bend. And as for wing articulation, everything is connected by hinges, except for this little piece right here, which is connected on via a ball joint, but besides that, it's just a bunch of hinge joints. As for my final feelings on this figure, I'm kind of mixed. On one hand, the figure's beautiful, it's got a huge presence on a shelf, and its wings are awe-inspiring, as well as its insane articulation because of course it has those Yamaguchi standards. However, my feelings fall flat just about everywhere else. This figure is the kind of figure that you need to set a dedicated amount of time to messing with, and you can't just pick up and play. For me, I get enjoyment out of my figures by posing them around and taking photos of them, but it's really hard to do so when a lot of the articulation is impeded by the hard plastic, or just the fragility of all the accessories in general, like the wings and the swords. By no means am I saying this guy's bad. I still love this figure. It's still really solid, and I highly recommend it if you actually like my hero or Hawks, but it has its faults. So as much as I would love to rate it higher, it's gonna get a 7 out of 10.